All right, well, I will call the meeting to order, and if you'll stand for the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, you can ask him about it Saturday night too. I will.
Oh, I'm just gonna hit that again and be like, all right, we're done. All right, well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, then that is approved. And are we missing John today?
He's on the way.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, just want to make
He'll
sure.
be there.
There
He'll be
is
here.
if for the world out there, there is a car accident outside very close to the entrance down here, so John will be here soon. All right, any public comments on agenda items? Okay, we're good there, and we have a student board member comments. Any for you?
Let me get my notes here. So, start of school went great. We had freshman orientation a week before where we had about, I think, 75 out of 200 freshmen turn out,
Good.
which was still quite a substantial amount. Us, the leaders and all the upperclassmen running it were definitely very worn out by the end of the day. It was very busy, but most of the freshmen were, from what we could tell, it helped them out quite a bit. Come the first day of school, we were standing in the hallways if they had any questions with our shirts on, so they knew, okay, if I need something, I can come to these people and ask them where my classes is, help with lockers, stuff like that. We were there if they needed help. And as far as freshman orientation goes, we had multiple backups as far as behaviors or any issues. Luckily, we had no behavioral issues, no issues at all.
Nice.
So it was the first year that this has happened in the last at least 10 years.
Wow.
So it was quite a success. And then last night, the high school ASB had a MIC takeover at McDonald's. It was a success. We made about $800 just in those 2 hours that we'll be able to go to our ASB account so we can do fun stuff like dances and fun activities later this year.
Wow.
So, and then we have homecoming coming up. That'll be October 15th. This year we're going to try to sell online tickets to the kids so they'll be able to come in with their phone, we scan it, and then that's how they get in. We'll see how it works. There's some security issues with it, like we don't want 8th graders sneaking into the dance again. We had that happen last time, and now word got out that 8th graders can come even though they cannot. So we're trying to keep them out.
Can't be a date of somebody
Can't be a date. The oldest you can be is 20.
Wow, okay.
If you're 21, you can't come. So 9th grade to 20 can come. And you must be approved via guest form.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, 8th grade middle school is not allowed. 8th graders get to do it next year.
Oh, okay.
So, and then we're also planning on, a lot of stuff beginning of the year. But we also have the senior class is doing a fundraiser where we are going to do everyone's favorite flamingo flocking. So the way it'll work is we are going to go around and sell flamingo insurance. And what you'll do is we'll give you a little certificate, you post it in your window, and we'll see it. And if we see it, we won't put a ton of pink flamingos in your yard.
You will?
If you have the flamingo insurance, you're safe.
Oh.
We won't put any flamingos in your yard. If you don't buy it, we'll come back at a later date and fill your lawn full of pink lawn flamingos.
So who are you concentrating on?
Yeah, what?
For this?
So I'm not quite sure. We have a few staff members that challenged us to come flock their houses that would be willing to buy insurance. And then Lakeland's probably going to be a big
I was
hit.
gonna say.
There you go.
I can't protect any of you guys. Sorry.
Well, but if we buy the insurance, we're safe.
Yeah, then you're safe.
So how
yes.
much is this insurance?
It's $20 minimum for the insurance.
That's not too bad.
So, and then all the money will go to a senior class, which will go towards, the big thing is a senior gift at the end of the year, where seniors will donate something. There, one year they did that giant inflatable bulldog. One year they did the bulldog out in the courtyard. And they did a few more, but those were the big ones.
That's really cool.
So it would go to purchasing something like that, some sort of gift that would help or benefit upcoming classes.
When does the fundraiser start?
So it will start sometime next week, as soon as we get
She's
the
ready to
flamingos
give you
in.
her
I have
$20.
cash in my wallet.
I don't have any certificates. We'll come to you
So
later.
do you come back and collect all the flamingos afterwards?
If you
You have
pay
to pay
to
to
have
get
them
them out of your
removed,
yard.
this time we will leave a ransom note.
A ransom
Yeah, they
note?
they forgot, they left the flamingos in my yard last year, but no note.
Do you,
Oh my
I
goodness.
guess I'm curious how you, like, if you're targeting, like, teachers and administrators, like, people who are kind of gonna learn about it, or are you doing random people? who
It
could
will
get
be
really
it will
angry?
be a combination.
Okay.
There have been some teachers that pretty much said, come find out where we live. If you find out, we'll pay you extra for insurance.
Oh, there you go.
To-
Okay.
And so it'll be a combination of teachers
Parents.
and the parents, but a portion of it will just be poor community members. But we'll explain the entire process to them. They'll know. And they're just pink flamingos. If they don't want them, they can always throw them away. They're like 50 cents each. They're not
That is
not
really
nice.
funny.
So
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it'll be fun. We'll see how it goes.
Do you do it at night or during the day?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
For $1, you can get them that are fluorescent.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh.
We may do the fancy ones for some of the teachers.
All right.
But that's all I have. Thank you, Beth.
Awesome, thank you, that was a good report. All right, and on to the consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda, although I do have some items for discussion. which
Okay, so.
I don't think I need to pull any out.
Okay. And discussion then.
I am curious, the teachers out of endorsement, what will they be teaching? The
Well,
letters all list what they are.
Yeah, and it
Competent.
depends on some of them. So for example, Ms. St. Louis is a ceramics teacher, but our ceramics class is a CTE class, and she has the ceramics art endorsement, but not the CTE one, so she'll have she's working on that. There's some extra coursework you have to do to have the CTE part of that, because we consider that production art, and so they can get CTE credit for that. Parker is, I don't have memorized which science endorsement she's teaching, or she has credential in, but she's teaching both the health, PBS, the freshman health class, and health sciences class, and earth and space science, which I believe that's where her credential is, so she's teaching a different science than her credential
Okay,
is
yeah,
in, for example.
I recently met her. She seems really cool.
Yeah. And so I'm just kind of going down the list here, looking at the master schedule. Campbell. Yes, John, we have a Campbell now.
Jonathan Campbell, I know, I saw that.
That's it over here at the middle school, I think. And he's, I think it's the English that he's teaching that's out of endorsement. He has social studies. It's either he has English and he's teaching some social
Yeah.
studies, or he has social studies and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah,
teaching English.
he's endorsing English language arts and
Yeah,
middle
English
level math.
language.
So
Yeah.
he's teaching,
He's probably teaching
social studies.
Yeah, and then the same thing with Varbell as with Parker in science. She's teaching additional sciences to the area that she has her
Okay.
endorsement in.
And LaBerge.
I have, can you pull that?
Yeah, I will.
I can open that.
Here she is.
Endorsed in
She's
English
endorsed
language.
in English language arts, so she's
Yeah,
probably
and
teaching.
she's teaching both English language arts and social studies, so.
Okay, social studies, okay. Thank you for that. And then I saw the 23-24 district calendar, and would like to understand about the first day of school being August 30th for 2023, what factors went into that decision?
Yeah, well, when we set the calendar, the district works together with NMEA, and NMEA leadership and the district have to agree to the calendar according to our teacher contract.
Right.
And then we bring it to the board. And so, we look at, when we set the calendar, one of the things we look at is start and end dates and where those put us in the school year. And this year, next year are a couple of those years. For example, typically in the past, we have started after the Labor Day holiday, but that puts the start so late in the year that when we complete our school year requirement for a number of 180 student days, that puts us into the very end of June for the end of the school year. And so that is so late that becomes really undoable for families and for staff. And so when we make that agreement, we look at those two things together. Another complicating factor, is we have to look at how do we account for having all of the terms of instruction be about the same length so that we, one trimester isn't too much longer than another. So when kids are taking Algebra 1 first try or third try, the teachers have the ability to work with kids the same amount of time. So those are
That
some
makes
of the
a lot of
things that we
sense.
look at.
So, really quick, I just had also a question about the calendar. I brought this up during our ASB meeting this morning, and they had some very strong opinions on it. But their biggest question is, they would want to start after the Labor Day weekend, and their proposal was, why can't we just lose midwinter break and start the 6th and still get out the 14th?
We
Instead of keeping it.
don't negotiate the calendar with the ASB students. We negotiate it with the teachers union. That's why.
There you go.
Okay. Sounds good. I will let them know.
And that's not to be disrespectful, but our partner in creating the calendar is the teachers union,
According to
Okay.
their contract.
according to their contract.
The kids don't like the midwinter break.
They would rather have a longer summer than have less breaks during the school year.
Oh, okay.
Because up until a couple years ago, we were perfectly fine without a midwinter break, and we got a slightly longer summer as opposed to, because we have spring break and we have other breaks a lot during that second trimester. There are a lot of breaks anyway with Martin Luther King Day and various other holidays. So because of that, they would rather have an extra week of summer and lose that break during the school year because they already get plenty,
Well,
2-3 day weekends
So that
that
goes
try.
into like a learning lesson thing as well as, I don't want to say like, we learn about disappointment, but we're learning that we all matter, like, and it works for the teachers and that, so I guess the little bit of give, like, oh, okay, I see it, maybe you can go back when you explain it and go, it's, everybody has a,
But
a need,
also,
right? We all do this and work together.
If you have
and-
the students sit down and look at the calendar and look at the number of days that they don't have school on a regular weekday between Christmas break and between spring break without that week, it is the longest time during the school year without real time off.
I think the
Yeah.
look of it being short, like, of summer looking shorter, but actually when I sat down, because my son did the same thing, I said, but look, and I like showed it to him and he was like, wow, okay, getting a few extra here's and there's, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the really important thing to remember, though, it is a negotiated item with the teachers union, and so it's not like we survey the whole community and ask them what they think. It's negotiated between the district and the teachers, and sometimes there's give and take in there for other reasons, too. So, but good point.
Yeah.
Good to
thank
remember.
you.
I did have another question on the agenda. the Mason County Juvenile Court System says that we will maintain a community engagement board.
Yes.
Yeah, we have been trying to do that for the past 3 to 4 years. It was very difficult during COVID. That is the group of community volunteers who work together with the court system and with district leadership to work with families when attendance becomes a serious issue for a student. It used to be you had to go to court down in the courthouse, and the judge made decisions about what was going to happen for you. This is intended to be a more inclusive process that includes wraparound services as part of the discussion for the student and the family to ensure that barriers that are keeping a child from being able to attend school get addressed, and we can do that with partnerships throughout the community. So we do have to sign this MOU with the county again to continue to do that, but this is in accordance with legislation, and it is required. In the last year, 2 years, year and a half, the board did not really meet, and the county really wasn't able to do their end of that as well. So we are back to looking at attendance as something that we will address with kids and families, and the board will be meeting again this year, and we are always looking for community volunteers to join that board. So if you know of somebody, if we put them in touch with with Kyle Ellis in our Office of Inclusive Learning, they could be a part of that board for North Mason.
Yeah, I had a question related to that. It mentioned the school rep who would attend that. Do you know who that is?
It will probably be Kyle.
Okay. That's interesting.
And he's looking for how many people to be part of
We
that
don't
board?
have a limited number of
Okay.
people. Sometimes it's better to have more because, it's community volunteer, and, somebody might be able to come 6 out of 8 months, and there are reasons they can't come other times. So if we have other folks, then we're never too few to be able to be helpful.
Okay.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that is really interesting.
I had one small thing on the personnel report. And I know we don't usually pick out names and say something, but Mirka, she went to another district, and my son is very sad. He was very sad that she was gone, and she's actually had been here since 2014. So she was here a lot longer than I thought, but when somebody connects with Mason when he's not at home, when he's out without his parents or whatever, that's pretty special, when he comes home. So I thought just a happy goodbye.
Who was
and
that?
Happy tears for her. But,
Who was that?
Mirka
Mirka
Kjellstad.
Kjellstad. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
saw that.
She was with the middle school, and Mason will be missing her. Okay, so we are on, was there any other on the consent?
No, I think we need to vote on it.
Huh?
We need to
Oh,
vote.
okay, and I'll, everybody, did the other one vote? Did we vote on the first one? Did I do that? Yeah, okay.
I think so.
All right, everybody, for it, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and anybody opposed? Not hearing any. Okay, and on to the comprehensive school counseling plan.
Well, I want to say thank you to Rebecca Roberts for joining us tonight as a representative of our school counseling team. Rebecca and I, the school counselors, and some representative administrators have been working on this for some time.
A long time.
The counselors have been working on, and Megan is here as well. The counselors have been,
that's not
not Megan.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The counselors have been working on this longer than the whole group have, and have really been, even before the legislators made some changes and some requirements for changing how we address school counseling, which really led to all of this work formally being done. Our counselors have been examining best practices in school counseling and looking at the national model, the American School Counselors Model, ASCA. I always pronounce the C and the S backwards, so ASCA.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of a little bit ahead on this of some of the other places, but it's pretty complicated work. And I'm going to ask Rebecca to kind of tell you a little bit about the process that we've been working through and that they've been working through to get as far as we've gone. If that's okay, Rebecca?
Yeah. So let's see, where do I start? The ASCA national model, like Ms. Rosenbach was saying, so the American School Counseling Association has an entire model that they've published for over a decade that basically outlines counseling best practice. School counseling has shifted in the last decade or two from being very individualized, like sitting in a room meeting with one student after the next, to really taking a school-wide data-driven approach to influencing and affecting the whole school system. And so rather than, we still do meet with students one-on-one, but we also examine school-wide data, which informs our practice, programs that we implement, groups that we implement, so that we can affect a larger number of students in a smaller amount of time. That's really the best way I guess I can summarize it. So this work that we've been working on, Senate Bill 5030 was passed last year, which said that school districts needed to have a comprehensive school counseling program outline done by the beginning of this school year. And so that's what we worked on all of last year as a district team. And then counselors sat down and really kind of put all of the information that we gathered into this document that you're looking at. So
what we included in the board packet was the policy that we had to adopt to recognize that we were going to do this work, which you adopted a year ago. And then the plan that the group developed, as well as the assessment that we did of where we are in North Mason and where are the holes and places we need to address. In the plan draft that is included in the board packet, it's not a complete final product. It's some of the areas are much more filled out because they're things that we've been able to be really deliberate in addressing what was in the assessment, and with the counselors to really look at and say, this is what we know we can do this year, or the counselors with the principals together. Some of the things we'll still be working on as we continue to meet and make sure that we support this. But like Rebecca said, one of the things that we really value about this process is we had an opportunity to sit down and look at what we were doing. The counselors, I know intuitively, knew so many things that they'd like to see differently about our model over the years. And I think going through this assessment really helped us pinpoint changes that needed to happen to best serve kids in the world that we live in today, and with the social and emotional learning needs that our students have. And the team worked really hard on this, and they really educated the administrative team and myself on what it looks and feels like to be a counselor in our schools right now, and what implementing the ASCA model more effectively would do for our programs and for our students. And so we're pretty excited about the work going forward. One of the things that's really interesting is that the counselors have been taking some data in different ways and have found a tool that's effective now to really track how they're using their time supporting kids. And as we look at, they're going to meet regularly with their principals, we're changing to make our program evaluation really data focused, so they will meet regularly and look at the data that they have, and do they have the resources they need. Those will be some of the questions they're answering. Do the counseling staff have the resources they need to meet the student needs? Are we distributing those effectively? And it'll be a much richer conversation than just checking boxes, yes, you're competent at your job kinds of things. So every conversation they have will be about improving program. And that's really exciting for kids. I whatever else you want to say is.
No, I mean, I think we covered it.
Okay.
I think a good example, just so you get an idea of the data that Dan is talking about. So we all have calendars. Secondary counselors tend to live by their calendar. But we now have a tool that tracks very comprehensively how we're spending our time. It does take us time to input things, but the more we do it, the more efficient it will be. In Try 1, last year I had about 355 kids at the high school level on my caseload. And by the end of Try 1, I had made over 1,150 student contacts, meaning I had had a conversation with 1,150 students. So that kind of data is what we need to be able to communicate what we're doing. Is it working? Is it not working? All those kind of things.
And it also helped, the tool, although they have to put it in, which it's not automatic, but we're hoping someday it'll be connected to our Outlook calendars, so it'll be a little more simple. We're working on that right now. But, it also looks at, are they doing the things they're supposed to be doing as a counselor, or are they sliding into doing other things to support the building that's taking time away from the counseling work that we need them to do, so that we then have that data to have the conversation about how do we distribute resources.
I noticed that in the plan. I thought it was fantastic, and one of the things I wrote down is who is the lead on this program, because it was really well done, really well put together.
I was.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you.
If you weren't going to take credit, I was going to give it to you.
I know, I'm like, I don't know what to say. We definitely are a team. We're a really close team, and we're a really well-functioning team. I came in right after America. Somebody mentioned America. You mentioned America. So I've been here 8 years, and so we don't have a lead counselor, but I tend to take on that role just because at some point we do need one. But we worked really well together, and it was definitely a team effort. But
thank you for that.
Yeah.
There was a typo on line 20 of the policy, which I think is on us, the Comprehensive School Counseling Program, policy 2140.
Jackie's got that note.
Okay.
I was gonna say, somebody let me know. We can fix it.
Yep. It's just the first word. It's obvious. Okay.
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 Thank you. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Rebecca. I appreciate your coming.
Actually, I have a random kind of question.
Yeah.
It being Suicide Prevention Month, I was wondering if there was any work around suicide prevention this month.
Okay, so I'll speak to that a little
I just
bit.
thought of it. Sorry.
Yeah, so we, that looks different at every building right now. Elementary and middle, we had a pretty well-working system where the counselors were providing lessons and outlines to teachers, and teachers were presenting it in homerooms or advisory at the middle school. And then counselors were used as a support if teachers needed help or whatever. We don't have something like that at the high school yet. It has been on my priority list for the last 2 years. I do have something that I just adopted from the county that they had given me. So that's the first step. And then now we just have to kind of get it approved by admin, figure out how we're going to deliver it. But we have partnered with PCHS. We started to last year so that we could team up and deliver this more quickly, because for just the 2 high school counselors to do this in homerooms, it would take months to get to all of them.
Is it like a presentation?
Yes, so it's basically an outline. It covers everything from like what is suicide prevention, what to do, how to report, how to notice it if your friend is struggling, or what to do with that information. So that is something that it's still an active conversation. PCHS is shifting this year. They're experiencing, I think, some staff shortages,
They are.
just like everybody else. So we've kind of tabled their partnership, but we do have, our district team is willing to team up. So that's the last thing we talked about, and hit every building so that we can do it in a more timely manner. So,
So important. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's very cool.
Thanks again, Rebecca. We really
you.
appreciate all the
Yes.
work. So we do have a resolution to adopt, to, support, approve, and adopt the resolution to support the school counseling plan as presented.
I'd like to make a motion to approve and adopt Resolution 02G22 Comprehensive School Counseling Plan as presented.
All right. Any discussion?
It's
Other than we already
fantastic.
had.
Yeah.
All right. And all for it, say aye.
Aye.
And all against? Oh, aye as well. And aye on the aye, and not hearing the other. It passes.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do have a series of presentations, and next up is our athletic director, Ray Bonnell. Oh, wait, I skipped. Sorry, Ray.
Services.
What? It's Nicole Ha from Food Services.
Nice.
I'm the fun department, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't met any of you yet, so I'm Nicole Ha, the new food service director, and I'm very excited to be here as part of the team for North Mason.
Where do you come from?
I come from Romeo Community Schools, which is in Romeo, Michigan.
Oh,
So, yes, moved on the other side. To the
Welcome
other.
to Washington State.
Thank you. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. Beautiful.
Without the smoke.
So just a quick update. As you know, we're back to the National School Lunch Program compared to the past couple years. So we're back to all the rules and regulations for the school breakfast program, the National School Lunch Program. 11 serving days in, we've already served over 8,000 breakfasts.
Wow.
So today we had the highest count in breakfast, over 950. So the kids are getting fed breakfast. And lunch, we're just over 12,000, so about almost 1,200 kids a day. So we're excited
really
about
good.
that, and then hopefully the numbers go up a little bit more. And everyone eats breakfast and lunch for free. And I hope the state of Washington adopts universal meals for everyone, for the whole state. So we're hoping that happens.
Yeah, we were on the cusp this year of almost, how a few years we finally qualified all of our buildings for the federal program. We're kind of hanging on the edge there right now. We
Right,
might
so
not.
this year and next year, we are approved to be CEP. So, but if the ruling, the proposed universal meals goes forward, then we'll be okay. We don't have to
So
worry
what would make us fall off of that?
It would be the reporting from the parents. So it's
Income.
the free and reduced numbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
income
So,
based.
so even
income
though they
based.
don't have to do the free and reduced report to get free lunch now, they still have to do it for us to get funded for them to
Right.
get free food.
So we do
Oh,
a family
okay.
income survey at this point.
Yeah.
We don't do the free and reduced, one and the same. It's just a little different reporting. So
Okay.
we have to have all those numbers in by the end of January. So we continue to collect those applications through the whole school year until that point. Because the
Okay.
more we collect, the better we are.
That is
Okay.
a good one to clarify. Good deal.
And then we have a new menu planning software for us in food service. However, now you have a new menu option for the parents and the kids to look at to see what's on the menu. So we're just going to watch a little short video just to explains all the different tools that this menu planning software provides.
In this video, we will walk through each of the high school menus and show you how to navigate and personalize menu information for your specific program. When you initially access My School Menus, you will select the site name and menu you want. As you begin to type, a list will populate from the dropdown from which you can select your site. Then you can choose the menu. Once those have been selected, click on the Go button. The view of the menu opens to the current month. There are choices to view the menu weekly or monthly, and arrows can be used to choose previous or future views. Today's date will be circled and have a lighter color background. When a menu item is clicked, it may display the following: the recipe name and a photo, a description of the recipe, allergens and attributes, ingredients, and a nutrition label including the serving size. You can click the X in the top left to close the modal or continue to view additional menu items for that day by using the arrows at the top of the modal. On the right-hand side of the menu is the Tools section. This section is collapsible. Choose the arrow to collapse and then the 3 lines to expand. If you would like to view another school or menu, you can use the drop-downs here. The following tools can be used to customize the menu or find additional information: print menu, build a meal, filter allergens, dietary preferences, and select a language. The print menu button will reload the page to a print preview where further customization can occur. Language, school choice, menu choice, monthly or weekly view, and portrait or landscape printing can be applied to the menu.
The Hide Images toggle will remove the header and background border on the print version, so a black and white version can be printed. The font size can be adjusted to print a menu to a certain size. The Fit to Page button allows the font to print at the smallest size to display the menu on a single page. Note that some printers may not be able to print a font that small. Choosing nutrient options and dietary preferences will include that information near the menu item in your print version. So we'll go ahead and choose calories for our nutrient options and trans fat. As you see on my menu, those two nutrient options will display. You can also choose to filter allergens on your menu. Filtering allergens will put a line through the menu items identified with the allergens chosen. To return to the public view of the menu, you can choose the arrow in the top left of the page. The Build a Meal feature provides the nutrient breakdown of each menu item in a format that allows you to compile nutrients for only items chosen on the menu. It defaults to the current day, but the date can be adjusted in the top right section. To get customized nutrient information for a meal, simply click on the menu item. This line will highlight those items and add all the nutrients into the nutrition facts label on the right-hand side. So we'll go ahead and choose some items from every section, and you'll see my nutrition facts label add up all of those nutrients. Some districts may choose to limit the number of items displayed on the menu to conserve space. If this has been done, you can click on the Add Edit button in the bottom section to show the additional menu items, and they can be added to your customized nutrition label. We'll go ahead and select ranch dressing and hit the blue Save button. You'll see this additional item appear at the bottom to where we can select it, and it will be added to that nutrition facts label. This page can be printed using the printer icon at the top of the page. Only the selected items will print in conjunction with the nutrition facts label. To remove highlighted menu items, you can choose the refresh icon in the top corner. Calories, carbohydrates, and fat are highlighted at the top of the label. The arrow below can hide the full nutrition label if desired. To move back to the public view of the page, click the arrow in the top left corner. You can also choose the Filter Allergens tool, and it will open to a disclaimer page indicating that the information is provided as a service and convenience. If complete accuracy is required, consult with a medical professional regarding individual allergy concerns, and product manufacturers regarding allergen specifications for food items. Once read and accepted, you can click the blue Apply button. From here, you can click the icons representing the allergens identified in menu items. And then you can either reset to change preferences or click Apply to see these allergens on the menu. Menu items that contain the highlighted allergens will display with a line through them as you see here. Choosing the Dietary Preferences tool also will open to display icons representing the attributes of the menu items. You can click the icon for preference and then hit the Apply button. Menu items that contain those attributes will display the corresponding icon. Hovering over the icon on the display screen will identify the dietary preference. The language choice will change all text into a preferred language. Language choices and translation is provided by Google Translate. As you see, all text has been translated. The menu can even be printed using the language choice. Beneath these menu tools are informational blocks. These sidebars often provide helpful information about the child nutrition program. Information about various topics like online payment systems, program policies, and seasonal highlights can be found here. We hope you will utilize this online customizable menu from your child nutrition program regularly. They have chosen this option to provide an environmentally supportive option for menus that is not only more current, but provides more nutrient information than a traditional paper menu.
Wow. Any questions?
Impressive.
That's
We also
incredible.
have a mobile app, so you can also
Do you
download.
have a lot of parents who utilize it?
We're just starting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did roll it out right before school started, and so far the feedback has been really good. I've used it in my previous
Sorry.
district. Bless you.
What is the name of the app?
The app is also My School Meals.
My School Meals. And then how do they get it to, like, connect to their school? Is it just,
So once you just type in North Mason, and then all the
which is automatic?
automatic.
They
So
don't
you-
have to connect it to Skyward or something?
Nope. So we do have a link on our website. So if you go to food service, and under food service menus, you can get just the regular one that we just
get this app
noticed.
just for me to know. That's really cool. And then like the build a meal feature, is that thinking that they like, okay, it's just kind of more informational for the student to know
Also,
and remember.
okay, diabetics.
Uh-huh.
So the school nurse has used it a lot so far, right? So if you have to get insulin depending on your carb count, this is a great tool instead of having to flip through paper.
Then they
or-
can just like bring it and be like, okay, I want this, this, and this.
Right, so they know if a parapro is going through the line with a student and picking up their choices, they know exactly what they ate, and then they can plug it in so they know how much insulin they have to give the student.
Wow.
So
Are you
really
able
cool.
to pull data from this, like a lot of allergies and maybe like strawberries, like we had strawberries here was a big thing. And you notice that there's a lot of kids allergic to strawberries, and maybe we just don't use strawberries anymore, you know?
So they do the major allergens. So a strawberry allergen, that wouldn't fit in the major allergens.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't come up. So
Oh,
one of the things we did do this year is we've taken away peanut butter and jelly sandwiches
Oh.
at the elementary level, because an elementary student, we just don't want to go down that path. So
Yeah.
we're going to stay nut-free. We're finishing off a handful of peanut butter and jelly we have at the middle school, and then that's going to be it. So we're
Okay,
going
that's
to,
good.
it just makes it easier for everyone,
Yeah.
right?
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing
you.
that.
Anything
I'm very
else?
excited about that. It gets the kids reading the labels. My
Right.
son does it on his own. I don't know who this kid is, but he's reading these labels, and he's going to get excited over that.
And it's nice too, so if I have to switch out a menu item because of supply chain or something, I can do it real time. So then, even if you're looking in the morning going, oh, what's for lunch today? As a parent driving to school or right before school starts, you can see what the menu is in case a change did have to happen.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of nice too.
Very cool.
All right.
How exciting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And we're glad you're here.
Me too.
Yes, very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. Welcome.
Now, our athletic director,
Now.
Mabano.
You jump ahead there.
It's hard to follow that up. Mine's a little bit less interesting, maybe, today. First thing I want to talk about is the facility rentals. Jackie and I actually went through, we're switching the program that we use online to reserve and rent out the facilities. And in doing that, we've taken the opportunity to take a look at the pricing and then really figure out what are we doing and why are we doing it and why are we pricing it the way we are. So one of the big things you'll notice is there's an increase in the prices, and a big part of that is the custodial fees. So before, we kind of just absorb the custodial fees in the regular routines. And because of that, a lot of facilities, I think, were being not upkept to the standard that we would like them to be. Just because in the normal run of the day, it turns into too much as we rent the fields more and more and more. So we've incorporated those fees into the rental prices. So there's a bump up. We're still arguably the cheapest around. But now every 4 rentals, we get an hour of custodial. So that should clean up some things and make it a little bit nicer.
So
around.
does that cover field prep? For
Field-
the ball fields?
So, yes and no. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how they're renting the fields. So what it does do is it allows us to budget some sort of custodial, whether we make it into just routine maintenance stuff or whether we take that hour and use it to, I don't know, mow the grass
Stripe.
or whatever, like whatever it takes, pressure wash the stadium, that kind of
Right.
things.
Okay.
It allows us a bit of flexibility. We're not just waiting for a big, like a game day event for somebody to rent it and then we bring in somebody. It's built into the everyday rentals. And I think that there's going to be I think it'll make a big change. I'm already starting to notice it with, we have a new hire in grounds and maintenance, and it's already starting to make some changes, so it's pretty fun on my end. So that's the big one. Attach the facility rental prices on there. You guys can take a look at them. The other real big things in athletics that are going on, we've had some great communication with transportation. Being flexible and thinking outside the box in order to keep our kids getting to events and things like that. Coming back from the Olympic League meeting today up at North Kitsap, that is a massive hurdle for everyone. And Kingston spent $300,000 on just transportation charter buses.
Holy cow.
And so us being able to avoid that by being flexible, thinking outside the box, getting a lot of people cleared to drive vans, so a lot of assistant coaches and getting people up and running and driving themselves has been really, it's actually been fantastic. So the flexibility, I absolutely enjoy working with Maureen, and me being brand new, she's deals with my mistakes and things, and so it's been really good. So that's been a highlight for the last couple of weeks for me. The other big highlights, and this one is a little bit, coming from the Kent School District, it's a bit shocking. All right, so I'm going to be really excited about this one. They've got 2 more weeks to screw it up. But our students, so next area, academics has been getting the academics in and using athletics as a carrot to get the academics up is my number one priority, right? Creating good kids that's all I care about. The wins will come. And I've been kind of monitoring through use of the Panorama software. I've been able to monitor the kids as they've gotten started this year and really worked with the coaches in identifying some of our high flyers for sure, but some of the kids that are kind of unexpected, kids that just forget to turn in their syllabus or whatever, and so they start off behind. Hitting them early has been fantastic, because with the new WIAA rules, they have 5 weeks until it impacts them as far as their participation. That's just a new rule that came in this year. Spring doesn't impact them. Spring just makes us aware of them. Then at week 5, then the consequences come in. So because of the Panorama software, I've been able to hit kids early. Hey, you didn't get your syllabus in. What's going on? Let's talk. And when I ran the checks today, I ran it as if it was Thursday in 2 weeks, and we have 0 kids academically ineligible. And that's me, it's awesome. They've got 2 weeks to screw it up.
I know.
You. If she screws it up, then I'll be back here yelling at her. So that was a big one for me. I'm really excited about that. It's obviously early in the game, but that's a trend that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting 4 or 5, maybe 6, something like that. And that was big. So that was huge. Despite that success, all that means is that tiered intervention and hitting them early is actually working. So aligning everything with MTSS, I think, is actually effective. It's not just in theory, but it's actually starting to work. So that's fun for me. I get excited about that. The other thing is online ticketing. We rolled that out, and there's only one hiccup on the online ticketing that's happened, but I'll get into that in a second. It's gone relatively smooth with the community. Leaving the cash option on the table, I think was big. Port Angeles has adopted GoFan based on our model, so that's kind of neat. Yeah. So that was awesome to be able to be the new guy coming in, and Dwayne Johnson is the AD up there, and he's national, everything, been around forever. So to take a leadership kind of role in that was pretty fun for me as the new kid on the block.
All right, because it's the whole district.
Anytime listen to why is North Mason ahead of us, and they've got a lot different resources than we do. So
keep
it's really
them asking. Keep them asking.
Well, I'll try. The only hiccup that came along with the online ticketing is, in order to address House Bill 1660, which is our low-income kids, making sure that they have equitable access, and that includes parents coming to games. So the first round of attempts on that was, okay, I'll just send two tickets to every person who's an athlete, whether they're House Bill 1660 or not. please buy concessions when you come to the game. That was kind of the deal, was kind of what I spit out to them. Unfortunately, the firewall in our district with the student emails kills the tickets the second they get them. So we worked on this for about a week last week. We have an alternative. I went and got parent emails from everyone, and then we're just sending it directly to the parents, and then they can distribute it them as they want. So that was the only hiccup in the online ticketing so far. Last week we made, I think, $5,000 in online ticket sales.
Cool.
And we had a pretty good football gate. We're taking on some pretty big programs, football and soccer, as far as schools that are 2-3 times our size. And the results on the field will come. I'm not too worried about those. But the gates have been okay. So I'm pretty excited about that. Got a good crew of student workers that we're getting trained up and rolling, and things are going smooth. So, you guys have any questions for me? Those are the big 4 things for me.
I'm just really thrilled that you are so keyed into student achievement.
Yeah.
That's
I
all I
just
care
think
about.
that is awesome. You know, usually an AD is more involved in just athletes and wins, but you're involved in the win for the student. So I am really pleased, and thank you for that.
Oh, well, I wouldn't personally do
I
it
was
without
gonna,
it.
yeah, I was echo that, but your personality is a breath of fresh air, and I can see where you're going to connect very well with it, not just one type of student, but I see where, like, everybody would feel comfortable coming to you, so.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
When is the homecoming football game?
Homecoming is October 14th?
14th, okay.
15th. The 15th is the game or the dance?
14th is the game and
14th.
coordination, yeah.
The 14th is the game.
So 14th
right?
is the game,
Okay.
15th
I
is the
see it on
dance.
the calendar.
We may be doing online ticketing. It looks like possibly
We're
for the
gonna
dance.
try to, that's the goal, but like I said, we do still have a security concerns, but we have an idea. So we're gonna see how it goes with homecoming, and then if it goes good, we'll move it on to all our dances
Oh,
and
Very
events,
cool.
if we can get those kinks fixed. But
Yeah.
it looks
We just
like
have
we
to figure
should
it
be
out.
able to,
Right on.
yeah.
It's just a matter of making certain that people who have tickets are the people who get in, like the people who we approve. So it's just a matter of at the door and not being slow about it, like ID, whatever.
Yeah.
So staffing the door with enough
Checking the
people to
ID,
check
yeah.
IDs and,
Yeah.
and filtering out the non-North Mason students to the side and
Very cool.
so.
Making
So
sure.
we're going after that. I think we've got a pretty good plan for that, and I mean, if it saves us a bunch of money on ticket printing and things like that, then that's good.
Well, this early on, it's sounding like you have a very good handle on it, so working
that's-
out the bugs will be,
That's a lot of Morgan's real proactive and early on it.
Yeah.
I
Really?
can give
No.
him a little bit. I know.
very cool.
I can give him a
Awesome.
little bit of kudos. He came down, we sat down for what, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes? and-
Yeah,
and
got it
went-
all set up, more or less.
Yeah, they're online. They're not available the public can't see them yet.
Yeah, they're
But we
not
can see the
available
tickets
for
now.
purchase yet. They will be 29th till the 14th.
Yeah, the
So-
two-week window.
2-week window, and we're gonna set up a website where
That's
they'll
good.
have all the information on our northmasabulldogs.com/homecoming. We'll be able to get on there, click on link, order
It's already there.
tickets. And then it will have, also all the dance information and stuff too. Anything you could need, it'll all be
Man.
right there.
You had a power team on this.
Yeah, we're trying to, northmasonbulldogs.com is a VNN site that the Olympic League and pretty much the whole state uses that format. And we have some flexibility. It's not as pretty as I'd like, but the freedom inside of the page is pretty strong, so just.
And it's
directing
easily
people-
found on our website.
On the
On the North Mason,
northmasonbulldogs.com, yeah, it's, right now, you have to go to the more button. So it has like teams, schedules, contact information, whatever, pictures, and then the more button. I'm working with VNN to try to get more freedom on there.
Oh,
Like
he means
get a ticketing button.
It's a separate site still though from ours.
Yeah,
It's not the, it's not the district
it's not the
site.
district
Yeah.
It's
website.
the athletics.
Would there be a way, like if somebody came to the district site, that there would be a link to that at the week of, so that when people are asking questions,
Yeah.
they go straight there and then.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
making that
absolutely.
a good path, that would be.
We might, yeah, I wanna, that's something I wanna work on.
She's writing a note.
I wanna work on with
I'm just
Ms. Marley
thinking
Clark
of
to knock
what
that.
I would do, and I just go straight to
Sure.
the website and then our district, so.
Yeah, I'd like to
that, but-
redirect the athletics or the ASB portion
Yeah, yeah, like
over
that.
to northmasonbulldogs.com.
Yeah.
And that would simplify the clicks, minimize the clicks is kind of the goal.
So it looks like it's live now.
Yeah, you can see the information,
I mean, but like buying the tickets.
but you can't buy any
It's
tickets.
clean. It's like a nice clean,
So if I
Layout
click
looks
to
good.
buy the ticket,
Shouldn't I?
it's taking me pretty close to the end.
Go through, let's see
Adding
how it
two
goes.
to my cart.
very exciting.
I can buy it now.
No, you can't, can you? All
I
right,
don't
well,
wanna
I'll
really
fix that
test
in
it.
about
I don't wanna
15
hit
minutes.
buy now. but-
He's gonna fix that right now.
Yeah.
It's versus the squim wolves, yeah?
Well, you can buy
Oh,
the
you can
ticket
buy
to the
the
football
game
game.
tickets.
Oh, yeah.
You can buy game tickets
Yeah.
right now.
Dance tickets shouldn't be available.
Oh, okay, I was looking at you.
Okay, yeah, buy tickets to the swim game.
And you can buy
Got it.
season
Buy for everybody.
tickets.
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
dance tickets are not there. yet.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah, the ticketing for the
Well, I can't buy
sports,
tickets to the dance.
And how do you pronounce your last name?
Bono.
Bono.
No, okay.
Bono.
Okay.
That's
Hey,
really
you.
cool. I really like this site.
Yeah, the tickets for sporting events are available.
Okay.
There's a discounted season pass.
I saw
as
that.
far as by fall, winter, and spring. Those are discounted because you can get to multiple sports.
Mm.
If you buy just a football season pass, that's the same price as if you buy each game. That way, that's how I give the tickets to the athletes.
Cool.
If it's simpler for you, then go ahead and use that one. Doesn't matter to me.
Thank you.
Great today.
Very
Thank you so
cool.
much.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So much.
All right, before we, well, I'll save it for we're in the middle now of my teaching and learning report, and Dan, I'd like to allow Amanda and Jen to speak before you go on to the business meeting portion.
We also have Maureen joining.
And Maureen.
I guess I'm going first. Hi, I'm Jen Johnman. I used to be part of the counselor group, so I'm very excited to see what progress they've made on the ASCA model. I am here to share a report about our picnic event that many of you were at. I'm going to just give you some basic numbers. We had more than 200 people there by noting from our drawings, and that doesn't include staff members and other families. So we had many more than 200 people. We had more than 100 children from our free snow cone that they had from tracking that. We had 14 community providers who participated. That was the easiest part of the event. When we put that out to our community partners, they were like, I'm in immediately. And that was something that we were able to do before the end of the school year. And then we actually had 3 or 4 who heard about the event from other people and asked to join. So that's very exciting. We had 17 donors for prizes and other things. We had 5 different musical groups perform. We had 3 different food options, 2 food trucks, and a donation by Randy Netherland. So one of our parts of that was we wanted it to have different culture. One of the things we hoped to have was to have some different variety in food, but that didn't work out this time, but maybe next time. Mateo Santiago is my counterpart who works with a lot of our English learning families. The feedback from them were they were thrilled that there was more than one person volunteering that spoke Spanish or Concobal. Nice. So that was very helpful for them. Hearing music in their home language that they understood was huge. The flags and banner felt welcoming to them. Having the field and the games and a picnic atmosphere made it feel very relaxing. And so I think that positive atmosphere really was the message. Come to our school. This is a fun place to be. We work as a community. They were also thrilled to see staff members there, to see their teachers and former teachers there. So that's the numbers. I will let Maureen talk about the joint event, which was the transportation part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we did the second year for our transportation roundup, and that is where we have families come down to the bus garage. They get to get bus stop information, which is why we hold it at the bus garage, because we've got access to our computers really easily there. And then the kids get on the bus, they go over all the bus safety rules and how to sit properly on a bus, how to behave on a bus, and then they go for a little ride. And then when they come back, they get to the bus parks and they get to see how it is to cross and what the safety aspects are of that, to cross in front of a bus. And those are all really, really important things for us to cover with not only our youngest learners, but our first-time bus riders. You know, we had students there all the way up that were 9th graders that had never been on a bus. And
Wow, sure.
so it was great to see the variety of our students. We did have less families this year than we did our first year, I think that the heat probably had a lot to do with that. So I still look forward to next year. I want to get a little more balloons or signage for our event to tie in with the picnic. I think worked out well, but signage, I think, was our downfall for that, along with the heat. And so, but we had drivers there, so the people were excited. They got to, some of them got to meet their driver, and that was exciting because the drivers pick their routes a couple days before the roundup happens, so that we know, okay, you live in this area, this is going to be your driver. And they really enjoyed that. And they enjoyed being able to ask us questions and find out about their bus routes, or where their bus stop was going to be, and we could really describe it to them and take that time with the family. So it was really an awesome event. And they really enjoyed Buster, the bus.
Yeah.
So, questions?
I know that was a very important, riding the bus was bigger than school. I know for Mason was the biggest thing, mine too. Very cool. Thank you.
Everything she says is true. I took the bus, I was well-behaved, and I crossed in the right way, and I thought it was a successful event.
Good job, John.
Good job.
I'm Amanda. I just wanted to say, hearing Jen talk and hearing Maureen talk, you see the magnitude of both those events. And then, on top of that, trying to integrate them. So when you look at our mission of purposely integrating culture, nurturing inclusive community, I mean, that in itself was a huge thing. And then we're like, oh, let's double up the event. So we learned so much from that, our ambition. And but the overwhelming thing was that the community came out in droves. Everywhere you went, the stakeholders were like, anything for the school, what do you need? And so we're going to be able to refine that need and the ask going forward, and really refine the branding of the event if we're asked to do it again. And then earlier on, link the two events, think about the signage like Maureen said, and really put the time into seeing how those events cross over. And but the overwhelming feedback was positive. The support from the staff, the volunteering, I mean, it really gives us a baseline going forward. And there's the potential, there's a lot of potential after what we learned. So thank you very much for coming out. And
Thank you guys for an amazing opening to the year for our families and staff.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, Dan.
oh boy.
Budget status update.
So I'm here to present the budget status report, and I just want to say I'm really excited about all the great things going on in North Mason. That was really uplifting to hear all of those updates. So on our budget status report, we're going to begin with the other funds, so the funds that are not our general fund, but we have our capital projects fund, you can see on the screens here. Our August 31st fund balance, end fund balance for our capital projects was $401,504. So that was just up $521. This is really just investment income there. Our debt service fund end balance at the end of August was $2,295,100. Our ASB end fund balance was $423,186. And our transportation vehicle fund balance at the end of August was $504,813. Notice that's a pretty big increase from July, because our August 31st apportionment included a $164,042 transportation depreciation apportionment. So we got that at the end of August. The enrollment here is really just our last school year's enrollment, because our funding is based on our apportionment, and our apportionment still is through August was based on the enrollment from June, really. So, but next month we'll have updated enrollment status for you for our new school year to share. So we're going to move on to our general fund, which is really our main fund for all of our revenues and expenditures. At the top left, you can see our total revenues to date. are at 99.27%, which is really right where we want to be. There's still a lot of, we're now into the new fiscal year, new school year and a new fiscal year, but we are doing a lot of closing of purchase orders and completing paying bills and things like that. So there's still going to be some adjustments happening for the next few weeks. So there will be some changes still, but look how close we are. Our local resources for revenues, it still shows we're at 197%. But if you remember, before we did that budget extension where we added that $1 million for levy funds, it was at 801%. So basically, because what we had budgeted at the beginning of, for last year was so small, really, because we didn't know if we were going to pass the levy or not. That's why these numbers seem really kind of off. Our state sources, our revenues for the period ending August 31st, we're at 99.75%, and for our federal sources, it's 77.25. I think that's where we're going to really see some adjustments, because we're doing JEs or journal entries to make adjustments for claiming as many different grant funds as we can, and a lot of those grants are federal grants. So we do hope to see that we see an increase in revenues there. Down at the top 10 resources table on the left there, just to point out of note, of course, our biggest source of revenue is our apportionment, which is based on student enrollment. And as of the end of August, it was $20,496,826. And I'll just note that our local property tax collected as of August 31st was $2,256,358. Let's go on to our general fund expenditures on the next page. And on the top left, that shows where our projected year-end fund balance is projected to be percentage-wise. And so our projected fund balance will be at 10.24%. And that falls within the 8-12% range, right in the middle of that. So no problem there. Our total expenditures year-to-date at the end of August, we're at 96.8%. And our salaries and benefits actual, we're at 100.82%. And our basic ed year-to-date, 89.91%. And then our top 10 expenditures, I'm going to go into a little more detail than the last couple of months, just because we're at the end of the year here. Basic education expenditures amounted to $16,285,000 plus a little more. Our district-wide support, $4.9 million. Our special ed supplemental state, $3.8 million. Pupil transportation, a little over $2 million. ESSER, $1.7 million. Food service, $1.3 million. Voc ed, $1.2 million. Basic ed and ALE, our alternative learning experience, a little over $1 million. Our LAP, that's $700,000, and middle school CTE, $637,000. So that gives you an idea kind of where those different expenditures are. Looking at expenditures by object year to date versus prior year versus current year, you can see on those bars there. Last year was a little bit of an anomaly because of our COVID and our back to school and the way we had hybrid learning going on and things like that, and different changes in staffing. So you can see our expenditures have increased since our previous year in the different areas, salaries, benefits, and so on. But it's pretty comparable to the year before last, as you can see. Last year was more of a normal year. So, and then let's go on to our month-end balances, where you can see the trajectory. We'll look at that thick the heavy line, current year projected end fund balance, is at 3.8 million. And our budgeted year-end balance was 2.9. So we're over our budgeted by almost $1 million. And then,
A mere million.
well, and the levy, I think, probably.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we did that budget extension for 1 million.
But you'll remember with the way that the state has adjusted how they distribute apportionment, you have to start the year a little heavy on that fund balance to be able to make it through the months where they don't give you very much. Because several years ago, your apportionment was divided evenly month to month. And now, you know, we get sort of even in some months, but then there are some months that we get about half of those other school year months, and we get over 25% of the apportionment for this school year in June and July after the school year's over. So in order to make sure that we have the money in the bank account to meet payroll and our expenses, we have to kind of front load.
And I could show a little breakdown of how we get that apportionment next month when we go over our new enrollment. So our general fund summary, on the right side, you can see current year-to-date versus prior year on the left in revenue. So current year-to-date revenue is 35.7 million compared to prior year-to-date was 33.7. And our year-to-date percent of our budget is at 99.27%. And for our expenditures, you can see our current year-to-date we're at 35,973, which is at 97.86%. So those are the figures that I have to share with you tonight. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm glad to see a healthy fund balance. That's really important to us. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you're doing very well in your beginning role. Is this the first or the second one without?
This is his second one.
Second one. I wasn't here last time, so. Very good.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
So briefly, I just want to state that, you know, we'll talk more about enrollment next month after we get through the October 1st count, which is the one that our apportionment is based on. But we are on target to meet our budgeted enrollment. We still have some kids that we aren't counting yet. Our transitional kindergartens with 2 classes starts next Monday, and that's another roughly 34 kindergarten students that will be added to our total. And our Running Start students are not in the count yet because they don't get counted for their time at Running Start until school starts at OC at the end of the month.
It starts
on
Monday. actually.
Monday, the same time as our transitional kindergarten.
Yep.
There you go. So we will have those actual numbers in our count by the time we see the October 1st count. So it's looking good. You know, I shared a little bit with you about the flow analytics report. I think right now we're in between the middle and the low growth. We're not at the high growth for this year, but we also anticipate some big impacts on our enrollment this year as those apartments open up and some of the other housing starts get completed. And we're, you know, even this week, without transitional kindergarten, Belfair's kindergarten has grown so much since the first day of school on the beginning of this week that we are adding another kindergarten class at Belfair.
All right.
So
Where do you put them, though?
they had rooms available,
Okay.
so we're okay. But, you know, right now, Jessica and her team are working with the families that are enrolled to find volunteers to move into a new classroom. And luckily, kindergarten only started this week, so it's not like they're really, really set. But we will, it will be much better for learning for kids to be in kindergarten classes of 17 with one teacher than 23. So we are making that move.
And what about the teacher? How do you?
We're in the process of determining whether we have a teacher to transfer but we have also posted, and we may be hiring because we have to make some adjustments due to enrollment increases, we have had a conversation with our NMEA leadership about condensing the hiring posting period to be able to get people in sooner than normal. So we're working together on that, and that's really good. So I am going to stop there with my talking because Laura has been so patient, and she has some really important information to share with you. And I almost put this on October, but I wanted Laura to be able to talk with you, and that's awfully close to when she might be out on leave there. So thank you for being so patient. Laura Pugh is our assessment coordinator, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about some interesting stuff.
I think I've met everyone in person, but if not, nice to meet you today. What I have up on the screens for you was released by OSPI on Friday. So this is all publicly released information. Was it able to be in the board docs, or will it be?
It was included late, so they have it now, and they have paper
So
copies
you have it
in front of them.
you. Perfect, because some of it's a little small. So this page right here is the way that OSPI is asking districts to show progress instead of growth. This is state level data. They are not at this point releasing data for districts because the fall state testing students took was a very different test than the test they took this past spring, which was more in line with what had been taken in years before COVID. So as you look here, you see that statewide, more students showed progress in English language arts than in math. You can also see by grade level some of those trends. And we're starting with this information just to prime everyone for the fact that our assessment data isn't where we would hope it would be, but it reflects the needs of our students and will inform some of the plans moving forward. So I included for you a quote from Chris Reichdahl saying that the data are encouraging. There's no question that COVID-19 significantly impacted the learning environment. The disruptions of remote learning, quarantine, isolation, transitioning back in person after up to a year of remote learning are evident in that proficiency decrease that you would see when you look at the 2019 to the 2022 data. But the incredible work of our educators and families to support students is evident in the recovery we're seeing across grade levels and subjects. So the next slides I've taken for each of the buildings in our district. You can see, if you choose to spend more time going on the OSPI report card, it's a publicly available website. You can look up North Mason, you can look up any district, you can drill down to the school level and break it down by demographics. But you'll notice that only enrollment and spring SBA scores are updated for the year that just happened. Everything else that's still on our OSPI report card and every district's report card is from previous years. And they're different previous years. And OSPI has said they'll update them at different times throughout the year. So I wanted to share with all of you, we shared this information with building principals this morning. This is the publicly available information about student assessment data in North Mason. So I believe the next slide is one of the elementary schools. So for Belfair Elementary, the enrollment data reflects an average enrollment throughout the year, and in many cases it was higher than the starting or ending of the year. But you can see that we had 40% of our Belfair students who tested meeting the ELA standards, which is in line with what we saw on the previous slide for the state. Also on the left side, you'll see some data about readiness for kindergarten. There's an assessment that our kindergarten teachers have just started giving this week to figure out what skills students are coming to kindergarten with.
And you can see from that trend, during those COVID-impacted years, we saw some lower numbers than we were expecting, which makes sense for what we observed across society for students joining the school system during those COVID-impacted years. The next one, I believe, is Santo Elementary. You'll see that at Santo Elementary, we have our higher percentage of students meeting standard for science. I think in each of these situations, there's a lot of room for growth, and there's still room to celebrate the hard work that staff and families have done to help students achieve. You can see the Ready for Kindergarten early learning data here as well. And then for the secondary schools, starting with the middle school, there is some more specific subgroup data available. I've shared some of it here for the 3 different assessments that students take. 6th and 7th graders take the ELA and math test only. 8th graders take those and the science test. So you can see that we have 31% meeting the ELA standard and a lot of room to improve in math and science. And for high school, on our next one, you'll see that we have almost half of students meeting the ELA standard with, there were, I believe, 2 grades that tested last year, sophomores and juniors. And then meeting math standards with those same grades, there's a lot of room for growth. The high school data also shows the graduation rate, which I believe is the same or similar ballpark for 21-22, even though it's not reported here.
Yeah, it was actually a little higher last year for 21-22. I also want to interject and note one of the issues that we've had, and other districts in the state have, it's not just us, but because we have such a high percentage of our students who are seniors and juniors who do full-time Running Start, we have not solved the problem. We have tried to work with the community college to provide a testing site for students, because students do not come back here to take the spring tests or and so part of, you have to, when we look at 10% of our kids passing the math test,
10% of students tested.
Of students tested, but we have to look at, it's not our whole student population.
Right.
And so we haven't figured out how to tease that out effectively yet. But it's important to know.
Yeah. So you just said 10% of the students tested. There's only 10% of those students that met the math standard?
So with each test, there's different grades it's required for.
Yeah.
Last year, there were multiple grades that it was required of, where it would usually just be, I think,
10th grade?
Is it 10th grade or 11th grade that you take SBA?
I want to say 10th.
I think it's 10th now.
10th, yeah.
It's 10th grade, but
It's been a while.
last year, there were juniors who hadn't had the opportunity to take it because of how COVID impacted
didn't do
2
it the
years of
previous
state
spring.
tests. Okay. So that's what Dana's mentioning there.
So we're
But
still, we're still have questions there.
10%, you were just saying 10, of all the students who tested,
10% passed.
10% passed, yes. But that's not all the students who
Graduated.
are here or
Yeah.
graduated. And it is our more higher achieving students who are at Running Start.
Correct.
So
There's
that
also
is-
information provided for James Taylor and for HomeLink. Those are much smaller overall populations. So looking at the smaller overall population does change a little bit of it, especially when you get to the tests that are only given in 1 year. That means not all 44 students took each of the 3 tests. And there's a lot of room to grow. I believe next board meeting, next month, you get to hear from the principals about their growth plans for each of the schools. It's important for us to be transparent about data like this so that we can celebrate that growth as it happens, and we can make sure resources are going to the places where students need them. Are there any other questions?
No, go home and have your baby.
Maybe not tonight.
Are you due now, or you have a few days?
I have a month.
You have a month.
But next board meeting is really close to.
Okay.
Really close.
So we probably won't see you.
You might not see me at the next one.
Congratulations.
Well, congratulations,
Laura.
Thank you for that report.
How exciting. Okay, my computer died, so we're just done here, so.
We are
Okay, and then.
letters.
My glasses aren't in here today either, so we did that and that and that, and we're up to the letter, and I'm up. I laugh because I'm terrible, so I will get something in for that. And then we have Laura for October, Arla for November, Eric for December, and John for January. And the issuance of organizational performance and policy review. Okay, I'm not going to read all that because my glasses are gone, but here we are at the ER 13 and we'll action. Here we go. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't have my glasses with me. I put my sunglasses on top instead of my regular ones. We'll entertain a motion to find the superintendent's performance to comply with the ER 13 mandatory policies.
Madam Chair, I move that we find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER 13.
Okay, and any discussion? No. Okay. Well, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? I'm not hearing any, and I keep forgetting to say aye for the beginning there, so that passes. And on to ER 7 here. And I will entertain a motion to find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER 7, which is the asset protection.
I make a motion that we find the superintendent's performance to comply with ER 7.
Awesome. Any discussion? Okay.
Well, I really appreciate your monitoring report. It was very, very complete, and it actually revealed a lot of stuff I didn't know about. For instance, the maintenance staff working really hard to get things ready to start a new school year. Supply chain issues and staff shortages. I mean, it's a really good monitoring report, even though it's not always what we really want to hear. But, and I'm glad about the long-range building plan process. I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, I was wondering where we
Yeah, hopefully we'll be ready to talk about that at the October meeting. We have been working really hard to get some support from OSPI that they're required to provide districts on that, but the way that the employees at OSPI are working as a result of all the changes they made due to COVID, mean they aren't providing the same level of customer service yet that we're used to, so we're still working on that. But we also were contacted by someone we all probably, or most of us probably remember from a few years ago, Eric Nelson, who helped us with our upper campus as, managing our work and interceding with our builders with us. And in his role back again with Hainline, the company he worked with, he's supporting districts in getting the planning done effectively for long-range building and maintenance plans. And so because we're having a hard time getting that expected support from OSPI, I'm going to talk to them tomorrow about, can he come in and help us get the rest of the things together, that we have all the stuff, we just need it organized really well so everybody can understand it and we can work towards it. And so, I think we'll have something to talk about that will be really complete next month. I do want to highlight, this is tough year for staff, both staff coming into the building to start working as well as staff trying to get the buildings ready for them over the summer. We were tooth and nail, or touch and go, I guess. And we, as far as getting some things working for our HVAC at the secondary schools, one of the things that I learned that I don't think any of us thought about in 2014 when the board approved and we moved forward with plans for the secondary campus, we put in an HVAC system on the secondary campus that you can only get the parts from one country in the world, and it's not the United States of America. And so, you know, I am not an America First person in any way. I value the partnerships we have around the world, but when we have supply chain issues and we have issues with things making it from one country to another, that kind of thing really impacts us. So that was a constraint that our staff overcame to make sure everything was repaired that needed to be repaired at the secondary campuses. In our elementary schools, we have, in Sand Hill, has an HVAC system in that building, but there were some classrooms that it wasn't working in, and unfortunately that system is so old that there is one place you can get the parts for them because they don't manufacture new parts. So there's a company that has the parts that all the school districts that need them for those have to get them from, and again, supply chain and getting those. So it took longer than we would have liked to get pieces that we need, or some we're still waiting for. And so we had to come up with other fixes to make sure, you know, getting the right kinds of fans in, figuring out moving one classroom from Sand Hill into a different classroom until the temperature adjusted because we couldn't get those pieces. So we had to do some of those things that our staff really didn't want to have be the way they address things, but they worked together to come up with solutions. Another one was we were very frustrated for a time this summer because we couldn't run our watering system up here and on our fields because we were waiting for parts that we are still waiting for to fix our very old water system here. And we ended up finding a company the company that we will be working with to do the repairs when the parts arrive was able to rent us motors to run our water filtering system so that it can work effectively until school starts or until the parts get here. And we were able to start watering again. We didn't want to water for that point in the summer because we were down to one of 4 motors working. And if that one went down, we wouldn't have had water on the campus. So that was kind of the backstory of all of those things. But I am really proud of Joan and the team for knuckling down through all of those challenges and finding the best ways that they could to support and get our buildings and our fields and everything ready. So.
Wow. Is the multi-year preventive maintenance plan and the long-range building plan, those are separate plans, or are they?
They are.
Kind of like,
they're two different things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And you know, and the long-range building plan is impacted so much by here's what we would like to do if we can finance it, and here's what we think we will need to do at this point in time based on enrollment projections and those kinds of things. So that's why getting those reports like our flow analytics report are so important to us to help us kind of figure out how much space are we going to need in.
Okay. All right, and not any other discussion? Not hearing any. Everyone that is finding the superintendent performance to comply with ER 7, say aye. Aye. And all opposed? Not hearing any. That passes. And we're down to the policy review of just what we already went over last time on ER 3, treatment of parents, students, staff, and public. The board superintendent relationship, ER4 budget planning, and ER1 expectations of superintendent. Was there any discussion about that from last time? Okay. Good deal. All right, then on to the good of the order. board and superintendent. Anybody?
I have a lot, so I
Oh.
don't necessarily want to go first.
Oh, really? Okay. Anybody else? No.
Well, I have nothing, so you can go first.
There we go.
I attended, well, I'll start with the picnic was fantastic. It was so busy and so hot and, but really fun and great to see the community out. I feel like I saw people that I just haven't seen in years. I was like, wow, it was good to see. And the snow cone, like, I didn't know you guys were going to do that. That was a crazy hit. That was perfect.
What was it?
The snow cone truck.
Oh,
That they brought
nice,
out, and
yeah.
every kid got a free snow cone.
Oh.
So it was perfect because it was so hot.
That is so cool.
And a lot of the staff were there, and Dan was manning the
Games area.
games, like the sack race that I did.
You did?
Yeah, we probably were the
For
only
you.
ones who were out there, but it was really fun. I also did an open house at Garrett's portable at his, my husband teaches the transitions program at the high school. He's very excited because he's back at the high school, and it's special needs, 18 to 21-year-olds learning life skills functions, and that was a good event, and he's very excited to be in that portable. As part of my role as legislative rep, I attended a virtual WASDA happy hour that featured Chris Reichdahl from OSPI speaking about the new timber grant proposal that I think, if I'm understanding right, OSPI it's for the 23-24 fiscal year. WASDA hasn't given an input one way or another of whether they support it or not. But what he was explaining was, and I know we all have a vested interest in the timber tax, and Chris Reichdahl was explaining a shift potentially in shifting that to a grant proposal where districts would, instead of us having to, the way we missed out on those timber dollars because we didn't pass a bond, removing that from ever potentially happening again by making it just a straight up grant that you apply for on a regular basis. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And I went to that, the implementation science webinar that Dana shared with us. And that was interesting. And coming up, just looking ahead, there is WASDA General Assembly, which is a chance I want to connect with all of you. And I think most of you are familiar with what this is. This is my first time even under, I don't even remember this before. And this will be Eric's first time too, but the Washington State School Directors Association has an annual conference where they go over their positions on various legislative policies and things that are coming up. So they release this handbook that is 200 pages long. And then for 2 days, September 30th and October 1st coming up, every school board in the state has a delegate, which is usually the legislative rep, who has to log in, and you listen. And I guess I've never done it, so I guess you debate if you want, or you comment, and then you have to vote. You have a special login to vote. So I have this thing to pass out to you guys, just if you want to put your, recommendation, pass, do not pass, and I'll send out, or have Dana or Leanna send out the link to the 200-page handbook, so it corresponds to the page number if you want to read about social media reporting, point of contact, what the legislative position is on that. You can read about it in the book, and then you can mark Arla pass, and then I'll just collect our overall consensus and vote. I do have an issue though. I can't go to most of the day on September 30th. So I talked to Leanna about what that looks like and how you're able to tag in and out. So I wanted to see if anybody could do that.
Yeah. So you're allowed as a delegate, or as as the board president, I delegate this to someone. I put it out and ask for someone, and usually it's the legislative representative. But you can tap out, and another person can come in for the second or whatever
Any
at whatever
portion.
time.
Yeah.
You can have all 5 of us do it in 2 days. But you could do what day was that?
I think I can do like Friday evening.
Okay.
It's like from 9 to 5. And
Now, is that the
September 30th
That's the
is
30th.
Friday, 9 to 5, and then whatever they don't finish, they do on Saturday.
Right.
That's the weekend of Oyster Fest, and I am
got
very
a
busy.
thing. We were gonna put this out on an email, but I thought that would start a howl, and we would all end up, yeah. So,
And it's virtual. Is
It's
that-
all
It is,
virtual.
yeah.
So I'm thinking, because John has done that before. He's been our
Yeah.
representative.
Yeah, I know. I thought it'd be
Maybe
good.
he would be a good choice.
Are you available on Friday, September 30th?
if not, the other side of it is jumping in brand new. It gives you a really good vision of what other people are thinking. So anybody could, but
Well, I would recommend this strongly to anyone that really wants an education in how the politics
I'm
of
like
our
really
group
bummed
work.
because if it was any other Friday, I could do it while at
Right.
work, but I have to be running around and setting up at Oyster Fest. It sounds really interesting, so I think, you know.
are you?
I may be able to do some early, but
Okay.
that day is my wife's birthday.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, and are you available on that Saturday?
From like 9 to 3:30.
Friday.
Friday.
It's a Friday.
Friday. Oh, Friday, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote Friday.
What I wrote Friday, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
My brain is,
I regret that I have but one Friday to give to my school district, so I'll
Does that mean yes?
consider me at your service.
okay.
If there isn't someone else that would like
Well,
to.
have you done it
take it-
virtually before? Has it been virtual every year? or-
I was the first virtual.
Did you guys have to go somewhere?
No,
No, you
they
just-
did before.
You just
Oh, yeah,
log
we
in.
had to,
No, I
Oh,
would.
before there was a
before, yeah, he
conference that you went to.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah, for 2 days.
like-
it's a lot. Online, I thought it was very, what I like about it is that it's it's a lot more intimate. Instead of sitting and just listening, you're like, everybody's faces are right there, and you get to go, oh, and you get to see the reactions and stuff, and then you get to talk and ask questions like right there. So I really wish they would have done that before like that. I think it's
Virtually.
virtually,
Yeah.
I think it's a lot better. But I didn't do it in person before, but I think it was a really good experience my
It sounds
first time.
so interesting, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure I can do it on Saturday.
Okay, so
and then
your
I
Saturday
can log in
and your Friday.
after 3:30
Okay.
or 4.
so this is 9 to 5 on the 30th,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a regional, it's a state meeting.
It's a state.
It's state, and I'm gonna send you the link, and I'll give you
Okay.
the, and I'll
Like
collect
special
you, or
login.
connect you with, Marissa, is it Rathbone?
Rathbone or
Rathbone,
something. Yeah.
Rathbone. Anyway,
Mar-
I'm gonna connect you you've talked to her before, and I'll make sure that you're on that email, and then I'll send an email with her and, Arla, so that if there's any questions, and Jim Stoffer, if you ever have questions,
Oh.
anybody,
Yeah, he's
this guy is like
Forever
your WASDA,
Jim.
your
Yeah,
General
yeah,
Assembly. If you ever see an email from him and you got questions, that's your guy. So,
Yeah,
I'll send that over, and then I have to put your guys' names in, and let them know that I have delegated you to do that. So, I will do that.
And
yeah,
I
I do
can-
have a question about that. Arla, this also relates to your offer to have us all take a hit at saying something about the policies. I've never found a way to do that. Your proposal of having the board members.
You have them, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
printed out what you
So this
sent
is what
me.
I
This
would
is-
ask if you guys, when she's
I'll just
gonna
pass
pass
it
this to you, you do that and then send me.
I was about to print out this morning the handbook, and then I
Okay.
saw it was 200 pages. I was like, never
So if
mind.
you want to send the 200 page to everybody,
Yeah,
but
I
then
will.
when everybody chooses,
Do you want one? Dana?
and send it to
I'll put
me,
it in next
and then I'll share it with them, just so we don't put a meeting, three or more of us are
Yeah.
meeting, and if we start an email chain and it starts going around,
Right.
sometimes we get a reply to all and everything falls apart, so.
So
we don't
I'll do that now. I had it
We
in
don't,
my
that's not how we work,
I
so.
think I had it. Okay.
Yeah,
If you
just
send it
wa-
all to me,
So I'll
Sure,
send
that's
it to
fine.
you. You want me to send you the handbook and not send it to everybody, or does that?
you know what,
count?
yeah, do that to me, send me the handbook, I'll send it out, and then everybody can reply to that with your,
Okay, I'm doing it right now.
recommendation.
But this is gonna come back hard copy. I mean, we're gonna write our thoughts here. and-
Either way, I thought this was a good guide.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
either
Well,
scan
'cause
it
you
to
can just
Leanna,
give
or
your top
just
8, is it?
No, it's like each one you say like he has do pass, DP, DNP, or abstain,
okay.
like each one.
And then you have to prioritize your whole,
And that way
Well,
we
'cause
can at least
we
see
took
like,
last time, like the top, it was like the top 8 or 9 or something
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then we went and
I mean-
gave the first, when we bid on it, when we voted on it, we had the top certain
Ones
amount,
that you
and
like
then
and you-
it went like that. So when it comes down to it, these are really important, but then when you get to the end, it's gonna be a list. It's gonna be a short list, and then we end up with, you'll see where a lot of the districts will, when we come together, you'll go, wow, we're a lot more, in tune than I thought, like, and then you'll find the differences between some of the bigger and the
yeah.
smaller.
I mean, I would say too, if you feel like whatever about it, don't even say anything. But if there's something
Right.
you're super passionate about, that's where to mark it so that whoever is voting just knows to speak up.
So you
that.
you need this in
I think
you
just,
two will need this in paper turned back in here before the 30th.
What is easiest for people? I mean, I just kind of printed this out in case it made sense and.
yeah, if I might
people
say
liked it.
something about this, friends, this is when it comes to when push comes to shove, which the final is prioritize the top 10.
Yeah.
There is no smooth way, of which I'm aware, for this to be a representative opinion of the board. It's a guest opinion. That is to say, you have to just trust the legislative representative or whoever's filling it out. This would be informed. I think what Arla just said is really important. If there's a hot button item for you on this list, that's information that I, as the potential voter at the end of the day, would make a difference in how I would cast my vote. Because I might, just of myself, prioritize it this way, but if two of you feel strongly about this, well, I can see, I'll give you, I would gesture toward you rather than do it because I'm an honest person and you can trust honest John. But I mean, what I'm saying is that I don't see any way of fully democratizing this.
Yeah.
And I don't see any, and I haven't come across any school district that has. So what you're counting on in part is the information, goodwill, and consultation of the voter, of whoever doing
Right.
it. Maybe with the
So-
superintendent, do we have some special, I always ask, does our district
Yeah.
have some special interest in any of these policies?
Right.
So I would always check that, with Dana, and then
Yeah.
we're deferring to your opinion on any of the hot button issues. I would take that into consideration. Ultimately, it's the person that casts the vote that makes the judgment.
And I
Sure.
think this is exactly how it came up last time. And that's what Jim Stoffer said for the rest of your board to pick their top 10 and send you the top 10. This way they don't have to drop off a paper. They just give you
Yeah,
their top 10
yeah.
and there's a number by it.
Okay.
So they'll give you your top 10 in their order if they choose to. But you're pretty in tune with
Well, then do
the
we just want to
district
do it
and-
all by email? Like, I'm
Yeah.
fine with whatever. I thought this could just be a visual and they
Yeah.
pass that out at whatever.
One of the
so.
things that helped me is talking to Jim and asking him, he sent me his list to show me how he prioritized for his district. And it helped me a
he's
lot
the- yeah.
understand, because because you'll sit and listen and the rest of the group, I know we're talking a lot about this, but we don't get to talk about this outside of here, all of us, so, but the other people, you'll see how they'll come up and talk about their things, and then you'll see like where their levels are and everything. And by the time you actually vote, it's a collective. You know, you'll see
There's
where
like a hive
you-
mind that sounds like 10. Well,
You
kinda
will.
come
You'll
together,
be
yeah.
a lot more connected. You'll feel a lot more connected when you see everybody else is starting to come in, and you'll go, oh, you're like, yeah, I got one right. You know, two right. You know, they're not right. There's no right or wrong. It's just these are some of our hot topics.
Yeah,
and-
I would just add that I think it's always wise to ask the super because
Yeah, that's a good idea.
nobody knows the politics of
Right.
our concern, our
that is
mutual
what we did last
concern,
time.
the way Dana does. And there may be issues that would just,
Yeah.
But hey, what they're actually doing here is screwing us this way.
Yeah.
And
And I think actually this is the conversation we had last time
and,
too. So we're doubling
you
up
know,
here.
so I wouldn't know what to say about the timber thing until I heard, Dana
Yeah.
pronounce upon it, because I know that that is a area where many bad things can happen under cover of law
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
consultation.
Thank you for bringing that back up, John.
So,
I'm sorry that that's.
but I think if everybody did send in a weighted thing, that would certainly be the most democratic I've ever
that
seen
You're
makes
it.
a
You're
lot of
right. And
sense.
actually, that reminded me also that the way we did it last time, and that is how we did it. And then Dana will send you, or ask her to send you.
Yeah, I would
if it's-
suggest that you share with the board
Yeah.
via email your top 10,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we can weigh in or not. We
Yeah.
can just go
Sure.
with,
Well,
yeah.
you can't weigh in because
There
it
you
can't
go.
be
Well,
voting via email.
I don't mean,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make a suggestion via email, can we?
But only, you can either reply to her or reply to me or just straight to Arla, instead of a reply to all. So it doesn't.
Oh, right.
look- Just saying it.
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
good
No,
at- I'm good at hitting reply all sometimes and then, minutes, yeah.
I think, thank you for the time for that, because I have been sitting in on these like how-to webinars, and I'm just like, what is this?
Hey,
And actually, that was something that was brought up by Jim Stauffer, that, and this has actually gone away with, I guess it would be me, because when we had John, he would come in and he would have a legislative representative time, and you could have something or not, but have something on, there's a spot on the agenda for legislative representative, and then you could either, you can come up with your list of things, or you
mean
say,
on
oh, I
the-
don't have
on
anything to
our
report
agenda
this
here?
month. Yeah, that we put it on there
I
just.
do vaguely remember seeing you guys do that.
Yeah, so, and it went out with, I didn't put it on there, and when I was doing it. So, Stauffer asked, you should probably bring that back, because then, we don't have to make it an end of the order
Yeah,
type
that
of
makes
thing. And-
sense.
Yeah,
There's
and
a
you
lot
don't have to
going on.
report, if there's nothing, then there's nothing, but if you have a whole bunch, then
I
we
would be
can
open
throw it
to
in.
adding that back to the
Arlen,
agenda.
I just want to
That'd be
commend you for taking this on. This is drinking from a fire hose.
And he's the guy who's
The
sometimes.
first one of these I got, I met was the wonks. And I, was, yeah.
That's a great way of putting it.
I mean, there are people that
It's
do
like
this.
career WASDA people.
Yeah, career, volunteer, unpaid, but career
Yeah.
WASDA people. And they know these policies so thoroughly,
Yeah.
or seem to, that it'll scare you.
aggressive.
Because it'll make you think you know absolutely nothing. These are usually people that are accustomed to running their schools,
Yeah,
and they are not a customer, primarily policy governance types. And it takes, from my perspective, it took a few years for me to feel moderately comfortable as a member of the conversation. Up to that point, I was a hot button issue, and Dana would press the button, and when it comes to the group, I would pop up and, give my spiel, on something and sit down until the next one, came up, and I would follow the rest of the game as best I could.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I have one last thing I just wanted to share with the board that now I'm like blanking on when it is. The Orange Shirt Day is coming up. Were you going to share that, Dana?
But you go ahead and do that.
Where is it?
It's
okay, Friday, September 30th, the same day that we're talking about, 7 p.m. at the Feller Wetlands. It is a National Day of Remembrance of the children that were missing and murdered because of the U.S. government's involvement with Indian boarding schools. And so it's a partnership with the Skokomish, and they put that event on, and it's Dana and I went last year. It's very moving and sad.
It's very moving and sad, and you learn so much because that hasn't been any of our experience. But, there were people from tribes from other parts of the country as well who were there, who were survivors of the boarding school experience, and it was very powerful. And if you can be there, I think it would be really
right at
important.
What's the
I
date?
would recommend
September 30th, Friday, September 30th.
This Friday?
No,
September 30th.
September, I'm already,
But it's 7 p.m. It's like at night. It's a
well, I'll have
candlelight
plenty of
vigil.
time to take a shower and get some dinner and just show up to that.
Morgan, I would really recommend sharing it with the student body.
Yeah.
I can forward you this flyer.
Yeah, if
Okay.
you could, that would be great.
Morgan,
Orange
what's your,
Shirt Day.
Right here.
What's your email, Morgan?
THMOR. No, THONAMOR 000 at North Mason Schools.
Okay.
You make it complicated.
Here's the flyer.
I have a flaming yellow, orange shirt that I'd be willing
I
to
need to
lend
get
to
an orange
anyone.
shirt.
Okay.
One last
I had a really
I'm
quick
done,
question.
sorry.
Was it Guatemala Day today or a
Students shared some information with other students about Guatemalan Independence Day today at the high school.
I didn't read a bunch. I wasn't going into that, but it was very cool. What a neat way to, just this connecting with the orange shirt is sharing culture and connecting students with students. That's really cool. Okay, we are over to Eric for the board self-assessment.
Did anybody else have good of the order?
I'm sorry. You did so well. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And then I have one.
Okay.
I can wait.
John, hold on.
They go first. I'll go last.
Okay.
Okay, what I had to report was I attended the picnic do, and it was very impressive, and that's when I took my ride on the bus and learned about things. And you had an opportunity to see the letter that I wrote, thanks to the interview, the generosity of Maureen in giving me an interview and tour of our bus shop. So I was able to, so writing that letter, having an interview with her, riding on the bus, has ended up getting my bus religion up again. We have a bus that is dated 1998. You know the oldest MTA bus? 2011. Why do you suppose that is? I just have this strong suspicion that there's a certain discrepancy in how we handle public transportation in this country. And I strongly suspect that if public safety concerns causes MTA to maintain their buses only up to a certain point, there's something odd about a decade discrepancy between the county buses and the buses we put our children in for school. I'm sure that Maureen is giving us this is the safest, I believe, the safest 1998 school bus you could find anywhere, where it's a 1998 school bus, and our Mason Transit doesn't have buses running that were made in the 20th century.
Wow.
I just think there's an issue there that begs for some further exploration.
Wow. Thank you.
It's merely a suspicion, and I would be very reluctant to give much weight to rumors.
All right. That'd be a good
There are
follow-up.
social probabilities, of course.
Okay. Hey, Morgan.
Okay, so I'll make this quick. I know it's been a little bit of a longer meeting, but going off of WASDA, talking about that, that reminded me our student representative meetings are starting up the 26th. So I'll be attending those, and we will be preparing to do some stuff, and it sounds like present some stuff at the general conference later this year. So I'm not sure the details yet, but we have a few documents we're going to present, and we'll see how that goes. So, and then I talked about they were doing that Young Eagles flight at the Bremerton Airport back in August. That was a great success. We had multiple high school and middle school students from our district come out, and they enjoyed it. So not all of them got to fly, but they'll have a chance later, hopefully next month,
Very cool.
when we have a sunny Saturday, so they can go up. But the people who went up are hooked, and now they all want to be pilots. So
I'm
that's
sure you're spreading that around.
Yeah, I am
Right.
a little bit.
Very cool.
So, and then the picnic was a blast. I popped in after what I had going on at the high school. From what I could tell, it was great. I didn't see the free snow cone, so I was a little disappointed. But
Yeah, I missed that too, I thought.
it looked cool. It was cool seeing the fire trucks there with the North Mason flags and all that.
Yeah.
That was cool to see. I'm looking forward to it getting bigger, hopefully next year. And then final thing I have is next. I'm not allowed to say a whole lot because I don't want to get in trouble. But one of our students, her name's Kate Lewis, is going to be giving a presentation next month at our board meeting on her project she's doing. She's covering the 32 minutes program for driving awareness. She'll give you more details. I can't say a whole lot, but she'll give you more of the details next month. And that's all I have.
Good connection this month, Morgan. Good job. Very cool.
Audrey, did you have anything?
I did.
Okay. I just wanted to remind the board, we did have the first of the 3 trainings on MTSS on September 6th. If you weren't able to attend, WASA did record them. They haven't shared the recordings yet, but when we get those, Jackie will send those out so that you can watch the recordings. The next one, we sent out reminders about the signups. The next one is September 20th at 5:30, right?
Yeah.
They're Zooms, and then the final one is October before we do our
And the
retreat.
sign-up link is same day, right? Because
No, I got mine way ahead of time.
You can do it now.
Yeah.
and
I
then
went
you
in
can
to do
save
it and it said, it linked me straight to the Zoom.
That's what I
On
thought
that.
when Jackie sent it out again. I clicked
Try it again.
When
Yeah.
you register, they will send you the link, but you don't use the link
You
until
don't
the day.
use the link. You can click on
Oh, maybe
save
I'm
this to
registered
my
for that then,
calendar,
and I
and it will
actually
save it to your
did it right
calendar.
that time.
Yeah.
I think I am registered. I think I did
That's
the
probably
same
why I
thing
got
you
that.
did.
Okay, and the October one was, I'm sorry.
It's
The
like the 11th or so.
11th or
just-
12th.
I have it in there,
We'll
but
send that out when they send the links out
Yeah,
again.
it's October 11th.
And what times were those? That was on September
5:30.
20th?
They're 5:30.
5:30, okay.
No, I had a conflict on the other one. but
I had a
watch it.
little question I'd
Yeah,
like
I
to
already
ask
typed
about
that.
that. My experience of watching that was the experience I always have when I go to trainings. They seem to presume a board that is actually involved in day-to-day planning of the school. So I'm exhorted very urgently, I mean, I felt the energy, to get involved in things that, as a policy governance board, we don't get involved in.
Well,
So-
and actually, oh, sorry,
Well,
John.
okay, I mean, I just need those parts of it that are particularly relevant to us highlighted.
I will remind WASA as well, actually, the things that you don't do as a policy governance board, no board is supposed to do.
Right.
No board is supposed to be running the district. They are supposed to be setting policy.
Didn't get that impression from
So,
that seminar.
but I will let I will let Helene know that that was the impression you got, and can they have our presenter, she's presenting, her experience is working with school boards in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And so,
They're quite different.
they're quite different,
Yeah.
but we'll make sure that we share with her that concern.
Oh, well, I'm glad I brought that up then.
Yeah, it's a good perspective.
But
Cool. Thank you.
with the meetings we've attended even around here, I mean, there are plenty of people
them are.
that get their public relations director to do something when some emergency takes up. So it's quite common for people around the state to basically run their board. You wonder what a superintendent does.
That is true. All right, we are going to now move on to Eric. Thank you for waiting. And go ahead.
All right, so I've got the board self-assessment. Going over general behavior. The agenda was well planned to focus on the real work of the board. The board followed its agenda and did not allow itself to get sidetracked. The board members prepared for and contributed to the meeting. The board proceeded without interruptions and distractions. The board deliberations and decision-making process were here in front of the public. Participation was well balanced. All participated, no one dominated. Members listened actively or attentively, avoiding side conversations. Work was conducted in an atmosphere in trust and openness. Meeting participants treated each other with respect and courtesy. I marked this as satisfactory for all of those. And the governance principles review, I marked this as we followed those principles. The board actions occurred at the policy level rather than the operational level. The board reviews policy about each topic before discussing the issues. In writing additional policies, the board starts with broad statements and becomes more detailed in a logical and disciplined sequence. The board minimized time spent monitoring past performance. The board routinely dedicates time to reviewing and approving its own processes. The board clarifies priorities and values when considering potential outcomes. The board follows the annual calendar based on the plan of its work. The board chair helps the board efficiently conduct its meetings. The board spends most of its time deliberating issues and defining and clarifying its vision, linking with its community, opposed to fixing things. The board supports the superintendent in any responsible interpretation of its policies, and I marked this that we followed all of those, and overall, we were satisfactory.
Very good. All right. Thank you so much. And so our next board meeting will be October 20th, right here in the boardroom at 6:30 p.m. And I am adjourning the meeting. Thank you.